Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. Welcome back to the game preview. Everton taking on Tottenham Hotspur tomorrow afternoon, 12:30 kickoff at Goodison Park. Been a while since we last had a 12:30 kickoff and Sean Dyche's Toffees face Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham Hotspur side. This will be another difficult game for Sean Dyche's Everton side, and there is absolutely no doubt about that. Spurs are in decent form at the moment, currently sit fourth in the Premier League on 43 points, which is 3 points behind both Arsenal and Manchester City, of course, who are chasing Liverpool for the title. So very much still in a title race when you consider a lot of people's favourites to win the league are still Manchester City, and they are only within touching distance of them. If they do beat Everton tomorrow, they of course will go level on points with Manchester City. They've obviously been in relatively decent form of late. A big 3-2 win against Brentford last time out, come back in big fashion to win that game, a game which seemed like it did a lot for their confidence and their momentum. It seemed like it was a huge win for Spurs. They obviously had that defeat to Manchester City in the FA Cup before that, a last 10 minute winner from Manchester City, Nathan Ake, I believe it was. 2-2 draw with Manchester United in the league prior to that, a 1-0 win over Burnley in the FA Cup before that, and of course a 3-1 win against Bournemouth. So they're in relatively good form of late, played a lot of FA Cup games, a little bit like ourselves, but in terms of their league form, they're doing well, and they've had a good season, in my opinion, under Ange Postecoglou. Obviously he's come in, huge task, for him to be able to take on a club that obviously has got aspirations of being near the top. They've built a brand new stadium to try and compete at the top end of the league table, and they just weren't able to quite reach those levels post obviously Mauricio Pochettino coming into the football club. And it was always going to be a huge task for somebody like Ange Postecoglou, who's never worked in the Premier League before. Massive risk bringing him in, but for me he's had a really solid first season so far, and it looks like he's well within a chance of finishing in those Champions League places, and who knows, maybe even pushing Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, whoever it might be, to the to the final few weeks in the title race. So this will be difficult for Everton tomorrow. Everton go in once again with an injury-ridden squad, once again with very few options for the manager to choose tomorrow. He did have his pre-game press conference yesterday. He spoke about Abdoulaye Doucouré. He said that he's back on the grass, but this game may be one too soon for him. He also spoke about Amadou Onana and why he is still obviously recovering from his injury, the injury that kept him out of that game last week. We know Seamus Coleman is still recovering from an injury as well. So again, this very well may be another sort of situation where Everton are having to mismatch players and play different players in different positions and just try and stumble across something that works. It very nearly did against Fulham. We were one absolutely atrocious header away from winning that game of football, and that would have been a huge 3 points for the football club. But as I said, after that game, there was a lot of sort of consensus coming out of that game that a point was a good result for us. Obviously, when we were, going into the game and the team news was announced, I don't think many people were particularly confident. I don't think many people thought we'd come away with anything. And then, to come away with a point at the end of it wasn't the worst result in the world, but it's only a decent result if we then go and back it up with a good home win. And our home form this season has been absolutely horrendous. It's actually been our away form that's been carrying us through. So really, we needed to win that game because obviously history tells you that we're not very good at home this season, and it means that this one tomorrow is absolutely huge. As I said, it will be really difficult, but Sean Dyche has got to find a way to win this game, in my opinion. And again, I'm not saying that it will be, the end of the world if we weren't to win it, or it would mean, the manager was under pressure or anything. Obviously, that wouldn't be the case. But it's been a while since we last won a Premier League game. Now I know we've won a couple of FA Cup games in the meantime, which might have clouded things, and we've had a couple of relatively decent results in the Premier League. A goalless draw with Aston Villa isn't the worst result in the world. A point away at Fulham isn't the worst result in the world. But we need to start picking up wins, because at the end of the day, we're in the relegation zone. Now, we all know we shouldn't be, and we all know we're only in it because, the Premier League wants us to be in it and are desperate for us to be relegated. But the reasons are all but that at the moment. The facts of the matter is that Everton are in a relegation zone, and Everton are in a relegation battle, and a point away from home here and there just isn't good enough. We need to start picking up wins, and this is a winnable game tomorrow. It will be difficult, of course it will be difficult. Spurs are a good side. We know they've got a lot of quality in there. Players like James Maddison, who's just coming back from injury, I believe. Players like Richarlison, who we all know too well, obviously scored against Everton in that reverse fixture just before Christmas, of course. Heartbreaking, that one. And again, another game Everton should have got something out of. It wasn't that long ago we played Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and we were very, very, very unlucky on that day. We had a goal ruled out which should never have been ruled out, and was only ruled out because of sheer corruption. We had one off the line in the last 5 seconds of the game, which was millimetres away from crossing the line, and we come away unfortunately on the wrong end of the result. But we for me were the much better side in the second half and deserved to come away with something. So it's not an impossible task to expect this team to go out, in front of 40,000 Evertonians at Goodison Park and put a performance in that can get a result. Obviously, there's we didn't quite have the injuries that we've got now in December, and we had a much more much healthier squad. Everybody was fit and firing and ready to go, and obviously we were in a little bit of a good reign of form at that point as well, or certainly had been in a good reign of form within December. So it is very different now, and this could very well be a completely different game because of that, because we haven't got the structure of Amadou Onana and James Garner in there, because we haven't got Abdoulaye Doucouré, who's been our most impressive player this season. So yeah, it will be tough. It will be tough, and ultimately the manager, like I said, has got a task on his hands to try and find a way to win this game, try and find a way to get at Spurs, and that won't be easy when you think of the side that faced Fulham last week. Dwight McNeil in central midfield. Obviously, we've spoken numerous times about Everton's forward line. For me, just isn't good enough at the moment, and we can, there's constant conversations about who's better, Beto or Calvert-Lewin or X, Y, and Z. For me, the five of them that play across that front five, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Beto, Jack Harrison, Dwight McNeil and Arnold Danjuma, simply haven't been good enough. I don't care who people prefer, I don't care who people like, I don't care what the reasons for it are, they have not been good enough, and they need to step it up, because ultimately, without sounding with danger of sounding a little bit like Michael Owen here, goals win football matches. And when you haven't got anybody scoring goals, you will not win football matches. And no matter how resilient you are at the back, no matter how structured you are in midfield, no matter how well you defend, no matter how well you perform, if you've got nobody that can put the ball in the back of the net, you will not win. And I think that's what Everton have had over the last few weeks or so. I think the Fulham game, it was quite evident that had we have had a confident goal scorer, I think we'd have won that game. Now granted, Fulham had a number of opportunities to win the game as well, and that's fair, but if that header in the last few seconds lands on the head of a confident centre forward, then Everton have come away with 3 points. If Dominic Calvert-Lewin's chance against Aston Villa is in the feet of a confident centre forward, then we win that game as well. So without Abdoulaye Doucouré in this squad, we really don't have anybody that seems capable in front of goal at the moment, and that is a huge worry. Now you might be sitting there thinking, well, Cam, why aren't you absolutely fuming and screaming and shouting and kicking up a fuss about the fact that we didn't sign anybody yesterday? Because I knew we weren't going to sign anybody yesterday. You know, I was flicking through my phone at sort of midday yesterday, at dinner time-ish, and seeing all of these rumours about Everton are linked with this player, Everton are linked with that player. Could Everton try and go for, you know, a loan for, you know, Akpom, or a loan for Maxwell Cornet, or whatever it might be? And I was just flicking through them thinking, this is just wasting time. I'll be honest, from 9 o'clock last night, I didn't pick my phone up. I didn't pick my phone up. I was sitting downstairs watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. What a show, by the way. Absolutely unbelievable show. And was watching it for hours, got in bed at 12:30 and went, shit. It's, you know, the deadline's passed. I best check if we've signed anybody. I best check if in the last 3 hours of the window there's been any sort of news, because anything could have happened. I could have picked my phone up and it could have been full of information that Everton are being linked with this player. Everton have had a medical for this. Everton have signed this player. But I knew it wasn't going to happen. And the minute I picked my phone up and I saw that there was absolutely no news whatsoever, it didn't surprise me. And look, it's disappointing. Of course it's disappointing, because, you know, I know, you know, the manager knows, the playing staff know, the director of football knows, everybody associated with Everton Football Club knows that we desperately needed to strengthen in this window. You know, the teams around us have strengthened in this window. Even Nottingham Forest have strengthened quite heavily, even though they've got a profit and sustainability charge hanging over their heads. But like I said on Tuesday, I think it was, or Wednesday, this isn't a case for me of Everton not wanting to spend any money because we're worried about profit and sustainability, or we're worried about, you know, being hit with another charge, or we're worried about, being given an extra points deduction or whatever it is. I don't think it's a case of that whatsoever. I think this is a case of we are in such an absolute travesty financially that we simply can't afford to go out and bring players in. I mean, it's ridiculous that we even live in a world now where loan signings cost money. That for me is just absolutely baffling. I don't understand it. I don't understand how a loan signing can cost. And I know it costs in terms of wages and all of that sort of stuff, but, you know, we were having conversations yesterday midday about whether Everton can free up a little bit of cash to go and get somebody in on loan. When I was growing up, if you wanted to bring somebody in on loan, you didn't need to free up any cash. You could bring them in. They were there for 6 months or 12 months and then they'd leave. But that shows you just how terrifying Everton's financial situation is. We couldn't even bring somebody in on loan because we couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford to bring somebody in on loan. It's like going into Costco and they've got free samples and saying, I can't get one of them because I can't afford it. It just shows you where Everton are at the moment. And we've known all that. That isn't a surprise. We've known that for months and months and months and months. We've known that the current owner is absolutely shit himself and ran away and can't be arsed being involved anymore. We know the new owners are pumping a load of money in left, right and centre and have been doing for a number of months, but still don't know whether or not they're going to actually be able to take over the football club. So it's understandable if they were a little bit reluctant yesterday to sort of, you know, give the Everton any more funds to try and make something happen. We are what it feels like at the moment running day to day. And I know it's probably not as tragic as that. I know it's probably not as serious as that. I know there's a lot of reports and stories, you know, around stating that Everton are very literally sort of living pocket to pocket day by day. I don't think it's quite as drastic as that, but I don't think it's far away from that. I don't think we're very far away from that at all. And this transfer market has showed us that, you know, when you can't even afford to go and bring somebody in on loan, that just tells you the position that we're in, and it's devastating. But we've known it, and the manager's told us numerous times throughout this window, don't be expecting much. He told us yesterday on deadline day in his press conference, it's practically impossible for us to bring somebody in. It's very unlikely, I think, with the words he used. So the expectation simply wasn't there, and I'd rather that than what it has been over the last couple of transfer windows, where we've been told, yeah, we're working on getting 4 or 5 in, we're looking to bring 3 in on deadline day, we're looking to bring X, Y and Z in, and then by 5 o'clock the lights are off at Finch Farm and everyone's gone home, and we're all sitting there absolutely fuming and seething that we haven't managed to sign anybody because we needed to strengthen. Now, yes, absolutely, we needed to strengthen in this window, but, you know, the football club are in such a perilous financial position at the moment because of how poorly we've been ran over the years that we simply couldn't have afforded to strengthen the squad, and we've been told that for the last 3-4 weeks or so. So it didn't even bother me yet. Yesterday for me was the most just it was just it was the strangest but most pointless transfer deadline day ever. Just generally most pointless transfer deadline day ever, because every single Premier League football club that isn't one of the top 6 is terrified of the league clamping down on them and giving them a points deduction like they've done to Everton, like they potentially may do to Forest. So nobody was wanting to sign anybody, nobody was wanting to fork out any major deals. The biggest story of the day was to do with the F1, which just shows you exactly how how terrible of a day it was in terms of transfer news, and just shows you how much Richard Masters and the Premier League have ruined this sport in this country. Absolutely ruined it. I used to live for deadline day. I remember when I first started this channel, which was only 5 years ago, not that long ago whatsoever, deadline day was, I'd have to book the day off work. I'd be doing a video at 8 o'clock, I'd be doing a video at 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock. We'd be live at 11 o'clock at night. Could Everton get this deal over the line? Could Everton get that deal over the line? Didn't do a single transfer video yesterday because we weren't linked with anybody of any sort of substance. Every link was just Everton had interested in this player, but you knew it was never going to happen. So, yeah, ultimately that has left us in a bit of a difficult position coming into this game tomorrow. And Spurs have obviously strengthened in this window, brought Timo Werner in on loan, who I'm sure will feature in some form tomorrow. They're getting James Maddison back from injury. I think Son will be back from international duty shortly as well. Obviously he's not back for this game, thankfully, but he'll be back over the next couple of weeks. And and Everton at the moment just seem like every single week there's another injury. Danjuma, injured now, so who fits in that position? Obviously no Decore still. It's definitely a difficult position for the manager to be in, and it makes it even more difficult to look forward to going the game, doesn't it? It does. But look, there's a game of football to be played, and we all went into the game against Fulham on Tuesday thinking there's no way we'll get anything out of this. The team, the selection, there's no way we'll get anything, and we come away very, very nearly with all 3 points, and we were all disappointed and frustrated that we didn't get all 3 points. So I think we need to have a little bit of belief and confidence going into tomorrow. In terms of starting 11s, for me, I'd go with Jordan Pickford in goal. I'd go with Vitaly Mykolenko at left back. I'd go with obviously Jarrad Branthwaite and James Tarkowski at centre back. I feel like that 4 is solidified in this team. I don't think that is going to be changed whatsoever. Pickford, Mykolenko, Branthwaite and Tarkowski. Right back. I don't know. I actually don't know who he'll go with. I don't know who he'll go with. His options are Nathan Patterson, Ashley Young, and obviously Ben Godfrey, who played there on Tuesday and done a really good job. I think he's more likely to go with Ashley Young. I think Ben was good on Tuesday, done a good job, was solid, made an absolutely brilliant challenge to keep us in the game. But we've seen it before with Ben, and we've seen it before with Michael Keane as well, where they'll come in, for the first time in a number of months and have an absolutely unbelievable performance. They'll be brilliant, completely out the blue. Ben did it against Burnley away from home in December. Come in, was absolutely outstanding. Did it again on Tuesday. Michael Keane's done it numerous times. But then that next game, and this might be a little bit harsh, but I'm just speaking honest from what I've seen, that next game isn't quite as good. They aren't quite as consistent. They make a couple of mistakes. They may make a mistake that leads to a goal, and I'm not sure the manager will take that risk. He might do. I'm going to go with Ashley Young at right back because I think he's probably more likely to do that. But then again, yeah. I don't know because he might need Ashley Young right wing, mightn't he? No, I'll go Godfrey. I'll go Godfrey on the basis that we ain't got any wingers and we ain't got any fifth forwards or midfielders. So I think he probably will go with Ashley Young in that wide position. So I'm going to go with Ben Godfrey there. Midfield then, Jack Harrison one side. I think he'll keep Onana and McNeil together in the middle, and then Ashley Young. I think it'll be the same midfield as what it was against Fulham. I just don't see any other options. If Gomez isn't available, if Decore isn't available, if Danjuma isn't available, if Onana isn't available, then who goes in there? It will have to be, did I say Onana in the midfield? Sorry, James Garner and McNeil. it's the only, we're at this point now where we're sort of looking, thinking, who else are we going to go with? The only other thing I could see him doing is Dobbin on the left, and then obviously Harrison behind Calvert-Lewin, and the only other option would be Dobbin behind Calvert-Lewin. Do I think he'll do that? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll probably go Dobbin left-hand side, Jack Harrison behind Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. There isn't many options at the moment. There really, really isn't many options, and Sean Dyche is in a very, very, very difficult position, and I'm just not quite sure what and who he will go with. But ultimately, we've got to get behind the lads, and as I said, I think the biggest sort of confidence we can take from this is we were very, very unlucky at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium only a couple of months ago, and we deserved to get something out of the game. And yes, we had a much fitter squad then, and we had a much better team starting, but we still were able to exploit them. We still were able to get in behind them. We still were able to cause them issues, and I think that'll be the game plan tomorrow as well. So there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. It does only take a second if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. We will be back with the instant match reaction and the player ratings tomorrow, so look out for those. But until then, big thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you after.